Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coming in Hot. This is Caroline, and I have a hot topic. Guys, I'm feeling all the feels, and I feel like I need to discuss guilt. I know. You're all like, oh, shit. Mom guilt. Now there's daughter guilt. And you know what else there is? Social media, like everyone else's opinions guilt. So let's just say that we are drowning in guilt, honestly. And I really want to talk about it because this summer, this time, this whole last couple of weeks, I've really been in the thick of it. And it's made me really think a lot about it. And why do we live like this? It is so stressful. It brings on so much anxiety. And we know anxiety and stress are killers, right? I mean, we know they're basically toxic killers of the body and the soul and your happiness. So we want to avoid this. You guys know I've been taking care of my mom, my 86-year-old mother. My dad passed away in January of 2024, and we went to pick up my mom and had her move in with us. This is not to get any accolades. This is not to say, oh my God, you're an angel. You're so great. That is so kind of you. Let's be honest. It is not easy. It wasn't an easy decision in the sense that it is taking on a huge responsibility, right? And I think something like your elderly parents, it's a topic we don't discuss enough. I cannot tell you how many people write to me on Instagram and say, thank you for actually talking about this, because nobody warns you. Nobody warns you about old age. Nobody warns you about the sandwich years. Nobody warns you about being responsible for your parents. And I think nobody really wants to face it. I think we all kind of want to, like everything else that we want to avoid, we don't really think about it. We make excuses and we kind of just avoid it. But guess what avoidance does? That creates stress and anxiety, right? Because once you keep avoiding something, you're going to have to face it at some point. And it's just like anything else. When you're hiding something or you're avoiding something, you're not being truthful, and that creates stress and anxiety, right? So for me, I kind of realized I kind of need to face this head on. And how do I get to a place where I can feel good about the decisions I'm making and the things that I am doing? Because I think we're all doing the best we can. At the end of the day, we're all doing the best we can, and we are human. And there is just so much responsibility we can take on, right? And I think as a woman, like men usually typically take on, right, finances, taking care of the family. Women take on basically everything else, right? All the emotions, we're the cheerleaders, we're the nurses, we're the nannies, we're the housekeepers, we're, every therapist. We take on every single other role. And with that, we do a disservice to ourselves, because I know for me, that constant guilt or feeling like I'm not doing enough for everyone else, all that does is just take away from me, right? And it just depletes me. And by depleting me, I'm now not putting the oxygen mask on anymore, right? And what happens when you don't have enough oxygen? You're like gasping for air, and then at some point you become weak, exhausted, tired, and you collapse, right? So I'm all about putting that oxygen mask on first and putting air back into your lungs and into your life, right? We got to live, we got to feel good to be able to take care of everyone else. So why do we feel so much guilt? What is that? I know as a mom, right, especially when I first had kids, all I could think about was like, how do I go out of my way every day, all day, to ensure that my kids are happy, right? I needed to see like evidence. I felt like I needed to be doing something so that everyone thought I was a good mom, right? I felt like I needed to attend everything. I needed to take them everywhere. I needed to be super mom, superhuman. Number one, to kind of make up for all the things my parents didn't do, right? Because I told you my parents were very hands off. We had everything we needed monetarily, but emotionally, they were not there, right? My mom, I don't know if it's just that generation. It was definitely much more selfish. It was definitely much more, whatever they were feeling and experiencing, you just had to deal with it and you had to go with it. And it wasn't about taking care of the kids and making sure they were okay. It was very much the kids helped you. You know what I mean? You didn't help the kids. Where I think now we are so over the top on making sure our kids are happy that we're turning them into assholes and we're unhappy, right? So it's like, we got to find the balance, guys. We got to figure this out, because I think we're all going to have nervous breakdowns if we don't find just a natural balance to what is healthy and what is constant guilt that drives you to the ground. So I kind of started to realize when my dad passed away and we had to take on the responsibility of my mom, it did not come with a handbook. It did not come with a rule book. It did not come with a self-help book. Like, there was no book to read to tell me how to manage resentment, how to manage stress, how to manage extra responsibility, seeing your parents weak, seeing their demise, seeing them get older and sick plays a real mind game, honestly, with your health. I became way more neurotic. Like, I started to be anxious about if my arm hurt. I was like, oh my God, does anyone feel a lump? Like, you start to like freak out because you're seeing their weaknesses and it freaks you out. So imagine that constantly every day, watching somebody struggling, or, my mom being rushed to the hospital now 2 or 3 times since she's been with us. And it's really only been anxiety attacks because they suffer from anxiety and fear. And imagine at 86 feeling dependent on people and not knowing where anything is, or just praying to God that the people you love take care of you. I mean, literally, my mom, who you guys know, she is tough, she is strong. She definitely could be a bitch if she wanted to be, with all due respect. She was not easy. And now she is so humble because of her fear of us not taking care of her. So now she feels like she definitely kisses our ass more because she's like scared that I might put her in a home, or that I might, leave her somewhere and she doesn't know what to do, which just goes to show you how your mind changes and how you act when you're not in control and when you're not in power, right? Because she's fucking nice now. And she does not talk back, and she does not give me lip, and she does not give me attitude because she's afraid of me not taking care of her. So she went from my dad taking care of her and the fear of him walking away and leaving to now the fear of us walking away and leaving. So my mom has basically lived in fear her whole life. Think about that. Like, if that doesn't depress you, I don't know what does. Like, that depresses me. And it really made me stop to think, because after being on, we went on a vacation with the family, and I was called every single day with an emergency, like every single day. My mom was rushed to the hospital. It was like every day was an issue. And I cannot tell you the stress. I cannot tell you the anger. I cannot tell you the resentment I felt. I kind of felt like, you got to live your fucking life. Can I just have one vacation with my kids? Like, I need a break. I need a minute. And as selfish as that might sound to some of you, because trust me, when I talked about it, there were 1 or 2 little negative Nellies that, wanted to pinpoint that my mom always took care of me, and it's my job, and it's my duty, and it's a privilege. And I agree with you. It is a privilege. It is. I'm very privileged to have her here and with me. But you don't know what you don't know. And she didn't take care of me my whole life. Maybe financially, but emotionally, she did not. So going to take care of somebody who you felt so abandoned by as a child, or as a teen, or as a young adult, again, because I just want to remind you really, really carefully right now, do not forget, money does not buy love. Money does not buy happiness. So just because we were well dressed, or because we were in a nice car, or because we had nice things, does not mean we were well taken care of emotionally. Because I grew up with a lot of screaming, a lot of fighting, a lot of threats of walking away, of someone leaving. There was a lot of insecurity, and it was very stressful. So to say I was well taken care of, I might challenge you on that. Okay. I actually felt like the parent most of my life. I actually felt like the one that was trying to keep her happy. And I was the one who was always trying to make her smile and trying to lighten the mood. Or I was the one defending her to my dad, or I was the one speaking up. I was the one that was confrontational, because you guys know I like confrontation. I'm not afraid. So I really ended up being like the spokesperson, the caretaker, kind of the mom. So when someone comes at me and says, now, like, it's your job, sweetie, I've been doing this my whole life. Okay. This is not a new job for me. So yes, there is some resentment, because there is a point that you think to yourself, do I get to just take care of myself at some point? Like, do I always have to worry about you? And there are many years that you guys just don't know about, where she didn't call and she didn't give a shit what was going on with us. And she was busy, or like when my dad got sick and her, wanting us to take care of him and wanting us to do this, like, she didn't want to deal with any of that. So not to throw her under the bus, because it is hard, but she didn't have her mom move in with her. She didn't take care of her mom the way I'm taking care of her. Even my dad, she put into a home because she couldn't deal with it. She couldn't handle it. She couldn't handle the stress. She couldn't handle him, needing so much attention. Meanwhile, here we are. She needs just as much attention. She's doing all the same shit that my dad did when she couldn't take care of him or when she was over it. She's there. She is doing all of that and expects me to handle it. So there is a selfishness there. There is something that you've got to work through because, yes, there's going to be resentment. I kind of feel like there are days where I'm like, you did not do this for me. You did not do this for the people we love, but yet you expect it all from me. And that seems really unfair. And it seems like, people forget that we're allowed to be happy. We're allowed to live our lives. We're allowed to want to enjoy our families and want to enjoy our kids. We're allowed to need a fucking break. Like, we're allowed to say it's hard. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to throw her out. I'm not going to put her in a home. But I'm not saying it's not I'm not saying it's not hard. It's fucking hard. Like, there are things that just trigger. Like, when she's sliding in her slippers around the house, it triggers. Like, reminds me of my dad. It's funny, the things that just trigger you. There's certain moments, like when I'm being called in Italy and it refuses to put her eye drops in at the specialist, and I'm being called at 2 a.m. and it's like, you're dealing with a child. You're dealing with like a child having a tantrum. And when did you become the parent to you know what I mean? You're kind of like, what is happening? And this is what they don't warn you about. This is what they don't tell you about. All the medications, all the doctor's appointments, all the papers that need to be filled out, like all the finances that you have to take care of and protect because you want her to be taken care of her whole life. The moods, the sadness. I mean, I was told every day how much she missed me and she was waiting for me to get home. And so the guilt, the constant guilt of me leaving her. The second I leave her, she ends up in the hospital. Now she's having an anxiety attack because I'm not there. Talk about pressure, right? So yes, it's fucking hard. And I felt like you're not allowed to say anything. And you're kind of like, what happened? How did I become responsible for everyone and for everything? And why do I feel guilt when I'm just away trying to enjoy a vacation, celebrate a friend, and spend time with my kids? Like, why do I feel guilty? And it's the same with mom guilt. How many times, right, ladies? Do we not feel guilt all the time? Just when you miss something, or when they're not feeling good and you can't be there, or when you miss bedtime, or when you're cranky. I have to say, like, the other day I was cranky, and you do feel bad when you're not your best self. And for 1 second, I'm going to say this and I'm going to admit it. I kind of, for 1 second, felt like Finn was acting like me and I was acting like my mom. Like, there was a moment where I was really stressed and I was really cranky and I honestly couldn't take anymore. And I was not the best version of me. And Finn was like, he kept saying to me, like, Mom, it's going to be okay. And he was like, Mom, you're going to be fine. I watched the Inside Out movie. It taught me that you have to make the best of any situation. This is literally what he says to me. And then he was like, Mom, it was fine. The hotel was great. At least we got a good night's sleep. Like, he found anything there was positive about the situation, where I was being super negative, kind of acting like Teresa. I was. And I just caught him trying to cheer me up. And I caught him trying to make me feel better. And in that moment, I was like, don't do this to your kids, right? Like, it's not his job. It's not his responsibility. Whereas my mom made it my responsibility and my job to take care of her always. It is not your children's job to take care of you. It is not your children's job to like have to make you happy. It is not. It is your job, right? So I had to get pull up my big girl panties. I had to get my shit together, because I really caught on how easily it is for us to put our shit on our kids, to put our shit on other people, make people uncomfortable, make people feel bad, and make people feel guilty. And I was like, I never want to do that to him. I was like, why can't I turn this around? Like, what is it? And I think it was a pile up of guilt and frustration between my mom, between the kids, between like me just not doing what I felt like doing or what I wanted to be doing, right? Things weren't working out smoothly. They weren't working out perfectly, and it fucking threw me. And so I realized at the end of the day, it is about us every single morning trying to find that best version of you so that you can respond well, so that you can react well, because that's really the only thing that we have control over. And when you don't react well, it kind of shows you where you're at. Right. And that it was not like, honestly, I was like, with the way I reacted did not make me look pretty. Okay. And I can honestly tell you, it put me in a spiral to the point where when I had to like fly out, we got left in the airport. We had to find a hotel. We finally got home. But that day of travel, didn't put my makeup on that morning. I literally just woke up in my dirty clothes, grabbed my bag and left. And I felt like shit all day. And I'll be honest with you, I had my makeup bag with me. And if I was in a good mood and I was feeling good, I would have 100% washed my face, freshened up, you know what I mean? Done something to kind of make myself feel put together. And I didn't. I am telling you, yesterday I was like, oh my God. When I got home, I was like, oh shit. I was like, I look like shit. I feel like shit. And you know what? I didn't do anything good today. I didn't do shit. And it did not feel good. So all of that guilt, all it did was chip away at the best version of me, chipped away at what I know works for me. I didn't do my happy tools. I did not use any of those tools that I know work for me. I did not use them. And guess what happened? Had a shit day. Look like shit again. Look like shit, felt like shit. So what does that do for you? Nothing. Like nothing. You don't benefit from that at all. I can tell you that now. So I had to go into a head place to literally go into my head and just start saying, you got this. One day at a time. You got this. It's not easy, but nothing good comes easy. And we can find our happy in the hard, right? Because life is hard. I would be lying to you if I said that as you get older, like 50s is fucking amazing because again, you do feel stronger, smarter, and more badass than ever. But you also have some of the hardest problems of the world coming at you, right? You have your kids growing up. You've got your parents, health and taking care of them. You have, family and friends going through so much. I know, we all know here, we've all lost friends. We've all lost family members. Death is prevalent, illnesses is prevalent, and we're dealing with divorce, kids having issues. Like shit gets real. This is not like, oh, some bullshit little like, oh, he didn't poop today. Now it's like you're praying to God that your kids don't get addicted to drugs or that they don't, they're so stressed that they want to hurt themselves. Like that, you want to protect your kids from the stress that comes as they get older. And then add your parents. That's why they call it the sandwich years, because you're sandwiched between so much responsibility, right? And that brings on so much guilt because you can't be everything to everyone. That's the truth. You just can't. You can't be everything to everyone and then be something to you. There's not enough hours in the day. There's not enough energy, right? So for me, it was a huge reminder that I have to take care of myself. That it's not selfish. I wanted to remind you guys today because I can't tell you how many of you, whether you're a young mom, whether you're a teen mom, whether you're an empty nest, whether you're taking on your parents, whether you have little kids in the house and your elderly parents, or now it's just that second half of life, your kids are grown, but now your parents came back in. And let me tell you something, elderly parents is like having children. It really is. They are childlike again. Like I told you, I called my mom on FaceTime and she was like clapping. And like her face lit up like a baby when they see their parents on the phone for the first time. I am not joking, you guys. She's 86 and she literally was like, her eyes lit up and she was like, you know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, like you don't realize like how childlike they are and they don't understand. And you do have to give them so much grace and so much patience, even though you've been through so much trauma, right? Even though you can feel some resentment or even though you can feel some abandonment, you still have to show up and you still have to be that best version of you. So how do you do that? You have to take care of yourself. Okay. There's no other answer. You have to take care of yourself. And it is not selfish to take care of yourself. It is not selfish to take an hour to go work out or to go get your hair done or get your nails done or go to lunch with a friend and laugh. Because again, when you feel good, that trickles down to everybody else. When you're at your wit's end, all you're going to do is lose your shit. You're going to lose, you blow a fuse and you fucking yell or you get cranky or you say something you'll regret and you're not coming from a good place. That's not where you want to respond from. You don't want to react from there. So for me, it's how do you find that good, healthy mindset, like where you're in a good place, feeling good. So then you can go react or go respond, right? And then you know that you're really dealing from a place of that you're feeling good. You have so much more patience. You probably will joke around more. You'll probably make light of it more, you know what I mean, than that snap or that backhanded comment. You know what I mean? Like that does not do anything for you. So I was like, holy shit. This guilt thing, I think, is as serious as stress, as anxiety, as depression. Guilt is a real thing. And I know when I was a young mom, it wasn't FOMO, because it wasn't like I wanted to be out at parties or at clubs or doing anything like that. But you are so locked down. You are so tied up. Like it does feel like sometimes you don't have any freedom. I know as a young mom, I kind of felt like it went from I could just jump up, throw workout clothes on and jump in my car and go to a spin class to it would take literally 2 hours just to get in the car. Like by the time everybody was ready and everything was ready, then Sawyer would poop, something would happen, we'd have to change all the diapers again, like you'd forget something, you go down, then one would fall. It was like all of a sudden you felt like you had no time for yourself, like you had no freedom. And then it's amazing that you could spend 24 hours a day with your kid, but you miss one thing and you're like hysterically crying. Or I would drop him off at school and I would cry because I was like, he misses me. Or like, is this healthy? Like, should I be like all of the guilt? I don't know what it is. What is that? Why do we feel like that? I realize now, like now them being 12 and 14, they're good as long as you're good. They're going to be fine as long as you're fine. They'll be happy when they see you happy. It is okay for you to take care of yourself and take time for yourself, because I do think it's not only the greatest gift to you, but I honestly think it's the greatest gift to your family and kids. I think, again, setting the example that you're allowed to be happy, setting the example that you get up and you take care of yourself, that you give a shit about yourself, that you care about how you look, that you care about how you feel and what you go do with it, right? I think it's so impressive for kids to watch a mom who's making an effort, no matter what that is. And I think that if you show them that you're passionate about something, you care about something, they will understand you missing something. Because I've had podcasts, I was talking to Valeria, I remember saying you have to talk to them and say, if this is really important to you, I will be there. But if mommy needs to work, this is really important to me too. So why is yours not as important as somebody else's? And I think that's something that we battle with a lot. It's like, who's the most important? I think we're all fucking important. I think we all play different roles. It all plays out differently. And different things are important to us. And we all deserve to be happy. I've said that from day one. This isn't about your kids not being happy, your parents not being happy, your husband not being happy. It's about you being happy too. Not taking away from anyone else. It's just making sure you're taking care of yourself too. Because we are known, again, to pour ourselves into everyone else and then completely forget about ourselves. And then all of a sudden we're surprised that we don't feel good. We're surprised that we're exhausted or stressed or miserable or like unhappy or depressed, or we look like shit, we feel like shit. Like we're surprised, but we don't do anything to take care of ourselves except for feel guilty and run ragged and be at everything. And guess what? I'm going to say this out loud. I took my kids, I'm going to say this. I took Sawyer out, and I think I've said this before, but literally every week I was at Travel Town. I was at the zoo. I couldn't be home. I didn't like sitting at home with the kids. I don't know why, that drove me crazy. I wanted to be out and distracted. I was out every fucking day to every play place, play group, play shit, museum, park. I was everywhere all day, every day. And Sawyer literally said to me that I never took him anywhere. It was like, I don't know if it was like a couple months ago or last year. He was like, Mom, how come you never took me anywhere? Like, he said that John takes him everywhere. John has taken him to like 3 Laker games. Apparently that just threw my 5 years of going out every single day out the window. Has no clue that I was bending over backwards. I was driving like a lunatic. I was drenched in sweat. I was stressed out of my mind. I was trying to be everything to everyone. He had no idea. Sawyer had no clue. Finn could give a shit. I was like, what? And I was like, wait, there's no award for Mother of the Year? I was like, there's no Oscar at the end? What do you mean? And you realize, who the fuck are you trying to impress? Who are you trying to like bend over backwards for? Like, whose judgment are you so afraid of? Like, why are we running ourselves ragged? Why are we running ourselves into the ground? For who and for what? There are no accolades. There's no rewards. There's no money prize. There's nothing at the end except hopefully having the respect and the love of your kids and your husband and your family, right? And for me, how do you get that respect? How do you get that respect? By showing them the way, setting that example that you deserve respect you demand respect, and literally that's it. Because for me, I show my kids, I walk the walk. And I think when you walk the walk, you have a little more leeway, right? To be able to be who you are. And so for me, I always want to show that. And the guilt strips away at that. So I just wanted to remind you guys, honestly, every day, how important it is, genuinely, for you to take care of yourself. Because what does the guilt end up doing at the end? Like, does anyone even talk about it? Like, me and my friends, it's like, my mom isn't talking about all the guilt. She does not remember a fucking thing about all the screaming, the yelling. She literally said to me the other day, she was watching Divorce Court. I think I've said this before, but she's literally watching Divorce Court. It's her favorite show. And she had the balls to say, oh my God, this fighting is so crazy. Me and Carlos never fought. I was like, what? I mean, I was like, oh my God, I want to be 86 and forget all of my problems. Like, she doesn't feel any guilt in it. Like, she doesn't remember the torture of the yelling and the screaming for years, or like the walking away or telling me every single problem, literally to about 5 years ago. So in the last year, she has forgotten it all and just remembers that everything was fucking fabulous. So everything we're stressing about, I just want to let you know, everything you're stressing about now, apparently at 86, you forget it all. And I think it's a way to protect your mind. It's a way to protect your soul, to just kind of just want to remember the good. Kind of selective memory, right? How amazing is that? So it's just like people have selective hearing. Apparently when you're older, you get selective memory and you just remember the good. And how amazing for her. So while we're sitting here torturing ourselves daily, guess what? At the end, no one cares. Nobody remembers. All you can do is, like, for me, I just want to be able to talk to my kids, apologize, move forward, and lead by example. And I think it's the best that we can do. I just know that your kids are more capable than you think. I know our parents are more capable than they think. I think it's okay to set boundaries. I think it's okay to set rules. I think it's okay to, like, I had a long talk with my mom last night. I really did. And I'm not going to lie, she teared up and we both kind of teared up. And I was like, we all have to make an effort, because at the end of the day, it's not easy, and it's not my job to take care of everyone and sacrifice myself. It's everyone's job to take care of themselves, and all we can do is help and support and do whatever we possibly can without destroying ourselves. Because I think that's where the guilt comes in, where we go above and beyond and you make yourself sick trying to help someone else. That isn't help, right? You're helping them, but you're not helping yourself. So for me, it's doing the best you can that's humanly possible without destroying yourself. So even with my kids, can they do the dishes? Yes, they can. Can they put their clothes? Yes. Like, me being over the top isn't going to help them be independent people, right? Me doing everything and pretending like they don't have a care in the world, leaving their clothes on the floor, or like being messy, or not cleaning up dishes, not knowing what responsibility is, what respect is, what help is, that's not doing anything. So me catering to them and doing everything for them isn't helping them. And it isn't helping me because I'm fucking exhausted and I don't have time. So how do you fix that? And then for me, it is setting up, like, hey, can you at least put the dishes in the dishwasher? Start showing them what it is to take on some responsibility, to help mom. At the end of the day, I said it the other night, literally John and I were like, we're a team. We're a team that works together so that each and every one of us gets to live our best lives. This isn't about just your kids living their best lives. This isn't about your husband living his best life or your parents living their best lives at 86. You're allowed to live your best life too. So it's, how do we all work together so that we each get to live our best lives? And I think that is the greatest, that's the greatest advice I can give to, like, especially in marriage, is like, how do you become a team? How do you work as a team, as a family? How do you teach your kids that hard work pays off, that a little sacrifice pays off? Sacrifice now, for that financial freedom later is worth it. And what do you do to be able to say what's important, what's not important? Where do I need to show up? Where don't I need to show up? So that we each have a little bit of time to do everything that makes us happy. And I will reiterate it again and again. Your kids should want to see you happy. Your husband should want to see you happy. Your parents should want to see you happy. The people that say they love you should want to see you happy. And if they're okay with you being a hot mess or being miserable or not having any time for yourself and letting yourself go, I'm not sure how much love and respect that is. And that goes for your friends too. It's like, people should be telling you, get your shit together. The people that love you should be like, you're better than this. Let's go. Get up, get dressed. You are smart. You are capable. You are strong. Like, you know what I mean? You deserve to be happy. You deserve to have some free, like, Yes, we should all be supporting each other, not knocking each other down, not being judgmental about what you are and what you aren't doing. As long as you're doing your best and you're still taking care of yourself, that's what we should all be promoting and supporting. So for me, I was like, okay, I'm done with this guilt. I was like, the mom guilt, the daughter guilt, the friend guilt, like when you can't show up to something or you can't be at a dinner. At the end of the day, it's like, we can't be everything to everyone. Even now it's like, yes, you feel guilty when you don't show up to a birthday, or you can't go to this, or you can't go to that. You cannot be at everything. I cannot take care of myself and be at everything and everything to everyone. So I honestly think the people that love you should understand that. And the people that love you should respect that. And again, the people that love you should want that for you, right? So if they don't, I think that's a whole nother fucking topic. But I know that when I really sat John down and sat the boys down, it has always ended with, we want to see each other happy, whatever that means. So how do we help each other? How can I help so that we each get to do what we want to do? And even with like my mom and her caretaker, I had to sit her down and be like, okay, do you need to call me for every single thing? Or are there things that you can handle, or you and my mom can handle, so that I get a break? It's like, again, it's about delegating. It's about setting boundaries. It's about not having to take it all on, not having to take all that responsibility on. And you hire the people specifically so that you can have that break, so that you can be the best version of you. So I literally was like, I am sitting everyone down. We are discussing boundaries. We are discussing like everyone taking on their roles and doing their roles so that mama gets a break too. And I want to remind all of you, all you incredible moms out there, all you incredible daughters out there, all you incredible friends, I am telling you, you deserve to be happy. And it's okay to take time for yourself. It's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay for you to be happy, laughing, having fun, and enjoying your life. You've earned it. You deserve it. So I just want to be clear on that, because I think we forget it constantly. And I think we put ourselves at the end, at the back burner constantly. I know all of my mom friends, we're all fucking burnt out. We're all exhausted. And why? We should be energized. We should be feeling good. We should be like, you know what I mean? Excited and ready every day to want to like get up and live our best life. That purpose, that contentment, that's living. Dreading each and every day is not living. Needing an escape from your life constantly is not living, right? So having to take things constantly or drink things constantly to take the edge off is not living. No judgment, but it's also, how do you find, you know what I mean? How do you find your best self, your best version of you, without having to tap into all of that? How do you tap into yourself? And for me, it's always those happy tools. It's always about doing those little things every day. That's why I find the happy tools to be so important, because they help you set those boundaries. They do. Because when you feel good and you feel strong, you put your foot down. You don't put your foot down when you're fucking cranky and you're fucking stressed and you're insecure and you're feeling less than. People take advantage. People take over. People start, using you, and like, no one, people who are using you and taking advantage of you are never gonna be like, hey, am I taking advantage of you too much? Should I stop? Am I using you too much? Like, no one's gonna say that to you, right? Especially your husband or any of your friends or your parents. And you can get into those relationships where people are comfortable with you doing it all. That's selfish, guys. Okay. Because I can promise you, your husband knows how to do things. Your kids know how to do things. Your parents know how to do things. Your friends know how to do things. People know how to do things. You don't have to do it all. Okay. And the social media and like all this like outside guilt that we feel now, because of course, everyone behind a phone can like put a little comment in or make you feel bad about a choice you've made. And again, I just want to remind you, nobody knows your life. Nobody knows what's going on behind the scenes. Nobody knows what's going on behind that screen, right? We're all doing the absolute best we can. And I don't think guilting and judging women does anything for anyone. Okay? Enough with the bullshit. Taking care of your parents is hard. Taking care of kids is hard. Marriage is hard. Life is hard. But we find our happy in the hard, right? Each and every day. That's why we dig deep. That's why we look in the mirror. That's why we're honest with ourselves and we put in the fucking hard work. That's why we get up and get dressed every single day, to bring back that best version of you, so that you do set boundaries, so that you do feel strong, so you do feel smart, and you actually get to live your best life too. So just a gentle reminder for today that I love you, I'm rooting for you, and I believe in you, and you deserve it all. Just like your family, your parents, and your husband, just like everybody else deserves it. You deserve it too. Just wanted to remind you that today. I love you guys. That's it. It's a quick, short one because you know what? Guilt is brutal. And I want to remind you, we're wiping all that bullshit out. Okay. We're going to bring happy back. We're going to bring positivity back. We're just going to bring back fucking feeling good in our own skin and in our own real lives. I love you guys. I hope you have an incredible week. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the love and support. Please like, review, follow along. We are so grateful for you. And we'll see you next week because we'll be coming in hot again. Bye. Mwah.